actually help your child improve his writing. Yeah, there are three tweaks that I'll be covering today. Yeah. So after that, maybe we'll open up for like some questions and answers, like that you all can ask questions. Okay, cool. All right. Let me share my slide with you, like the slides that I've prepared for you. Okay, John, I need the participant sharing.
Okay, give me a minute because my girl is crying.
No problem.
Okay.
Just sharing the screen. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So in the meantime, while Rosalind is sharing, later on, I will monitor the chat box in the fan page. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's any question, I will just find appropriate breaks.
Sure. To ask me.
To ask you. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. All right.
Okay.
So parents, while Rosalind is trying to get the slides up, if you have any question when it comes to preparation for English composition as well as comprehension and even oral, feel free to type it in the chat box. So I will just help you to read out to Rosalind so that we can get your question answered.
Yes. Okay. So now here we go. These are the 3 simple yet powerful tweaks for writing, which I prepared for you today. All right. Okay, let's take a look at this example that is written here. I was heading to Daiso at level 3. I saw a man following a woman. He was looking at her handbag. He looked really suspicious. I thought that man must be a pickpocket. I had to act fast to stop the crime. I shouted and pointed to where the man was. Okay, have you seen writings like that before? Okay, I'm sure you have, right? Okay, so what's the issue with this piece of writing over here? Okay.
What's the issue? Okay, probably I can represent the parents because
sure.
Yeah, because my English is not good. Yeah. Okay, so where do we actually start looking at the issue? Because to us or to me as a layman, it's like a big chunk of words.
Okay. So like for instance, when you're reading something, right? The reader, do you feel anything for what you're reading right now? Are you engaged? Are you excited about it?
For parents, you can actually comment in the chat box so that teacher Rosalind knows that can get some response from you, and she knows whether you're flowing. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, if you're wondering like, hey, what's wrong with this, right? I don't see anything like of a big issue in this piece of writing. Okay, then stay tuned. Okay, so in this case, right, how I feel is that do you realize that almost all the sentences start with a I or a he? Yeah. Okay, so actually that makes this paragraph quite monotonous in a sense. Okay, so the first tweak that I'm going to teach you that your child can use would be to vary your sentences. All right, and how can you do that? Is by adding linking words, beginning with a speech or thought, or beginning with verbal phrases. Okay, the first one, adding linking words. Let's say instead of I was heading to Daiso at level 3, and I saw a man following a woman. Okay, you can link them up by saying, as I was heading to Daiso at level 3, I saw a man following a woman. So this makes the process more dynamic. Okay, and because you're writing from the first person's perspective, so you can begin with a speech or thought as well. Like, he must be a pickpocket. So it actually gives the reader a peek into what this main character is thinking. And You can also begin with verbal phrases. Instead of saying, I pointed to the man, I shouted, pickpocket behind her. You can say, pointing to the man, I shouted, pickpocket behind her. So with all the variations that we have added in, right, this paragraph now becomes like this. Not that the previous paragraph was like grammar filled with grammar errors or what, but it's really to improvise your paragraph here. So as I was heading to Daiso at level 3, I saw a man following a woman. He was looking at her handbag. That man looked really suspicious. He must be a pickpocket, I thought. I had to act fast to stop the crime. Pointing to the man, I shouted, pickpocket, behind her! Okay, do you feel like slightly more excitement coming up? All right, let's take a look at the next one. Yep. Okay, so some parents actually ask me how, like, okay, besides varying sentences, right, how can I actually, help my child to write better? My child uses like very simple vocabulary. This is the second tweak that you can teach your child. It's to use more specific words to replace commonly used verbs and adjectives especially. All right, let's look at this. As I was heading to Daiso at level 3, I saw a man tailing a woman. So instead of saying following, right, which we use very often, is tailing. So this is actually a clue for the reader to know that, hey, this man is up to no good. He's tailing somebody, right? And eyeing on the woman's gaping handbag, the man inched closer and closer to her. So this is like a second clue. He was eyeing on the handbag, not just looking, because you can be looking and you don't mean any harm, right? But he's eyeing on the handbag, and the handbag was like really inviting him to like steal because it was gaping, okay, gaping handbag. So the man inched closer and closer. Okay, given the current situation, we are told to like have 1 meter, leave 1 meter safe distance, right? So by inching closer and closer to her, it's very suspicious. Like, why would anyone do that right now, especially? So he must be a pickpocket, I thought. I had to act fast to stop the crime. Pointing to the man, I yelled, pickpocket, behind her. So instead of saying just, I shouted, you can say, I yelled, because you want to gain their attention. Okay? All right. Now, do you feel any, like this thing going more and more exciting? Okay, if you have, okay, that's not all right? Okay, we are moving to another tweak that your child can use to make his paragraph stand out even further, all right? And that is to let the plot unfold. Because many children actually, they are very prone to just saying, like for instance, Jack broke his leg and he was taken to the hospital. That's all. Without elaborating on like, okay, so how did he break his leg and what actually transpired before he was taken to the hospital. All right. So here we slowly let the process unfold. As I was heading to Daiso at level 3, I saw a man tailing a woman. Eyeing on the woman's gaping handbag, the man inched closer and closer to her. And then I added thought. He seems to be up to no good, I thought, without lifting my eyes off him. So she's actually a very careful person. Okay, she doesn't just call out that person as a pickpocket without, making sure that he's really a pickpocket. So what happened next confirmed my suspicion. He started to reach out for something in her handbag. Okay, that's the action of the pickpocket. I had to act fast to stop the crime. Pointing to the man, I yelled, pickpocket, behind her. Okay, so there you go. You have from a very simple, okay, although it's not wrong, draft 1, by adding the 3 tweaks, you actually make it into a more developed paragraph, like draft 4 here. All right. Okay, so let me summarize the 3 tweaks. Okay, first of all, you vary your sentences. Okay, next, you use specific words to replace verbs, adjectives. And finally, you let the plot unfold by actually breaking down the process bit by bit, as in what happened next, what's next, what's next. Yeah, instead of jumping straight to like a cause and an effect. What happened in between? So you let your plot slowly unfold. Okay, so it's actually quite easy to remember because I made it into LUV, love. Okay, let the plot unfold, use specific words, and vary your sentences. Okay, so do you love the sharing today?
Okay, parents, if you have learned something from this session, type please comments like learn so that we know that this session has been beneficial for you. Again, don't go off yet because it's not the end yet, because I think it's better for us to address questions that you may have when it comes to teaching and guiding your child in English. Yep. Okay, Rosalind, quick question from me, because I think I represent the parents who is not the language expert here. Yeah. So at the same time, I realize that there are many wonderful words that you use. Do you get the children to come up with their own uh, English notebook with their own collection of sentences as well as powerful words to use?
Yes, actually, I usually encourage like students to like keep their word bank book. Yeah, that was what actually I used to do when I was like younger. Really, I really kept a word bank book, and so if you see words like for instance nice, and then you see somewhere in something that you have read, but it can be in your comprehension, it can be in your daily reading in the newspaper, something that you heard, your favorite storybook, just jot down the word that you can use to replace that very mundane word that you see, and then you will be building up your vocabulary that way. Yes.
Mm. Thanks for sharing. Okay, at the same time, we have a mommy, Jolene Yo,
Okay.
and she's asking, probably before I ask question, do you still need a slide? If not, you can just stop share and then
Sure.
so that we can
Okay.
see, so that the
Yep.
parents can see you. All right,
Yeah, sure.
awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, mommy Jolene asked, how do you help a child who totally hates Compo? His mind just goes blank whenever he asks to write a composition. Okay, Mommy Jolene, how old is your child? Which
Mm.
level? So teacher Rosalind can address and give you specific tips pertaining to your child's age. Okay, while we are waiting for Mommy Jolene to post, probably you can share in general. So how can a parent help if their children don't like writing?
Mm. Okay, so what I do, maybe say for younger kids, right, would be I actually create like storybooks with them. So instead of calling composition like composition writing per se, because they really hate the association, there's an emotional anchor of like, composition writing is something that I'm being forced to do. So I really don't want to do it when it's actually telling a story. Yeah, so if he doesn't want to write in the first place, right, you can start by telling stories with him. You can even play games like what I've suggested to some parents. It's to play a game of like cause effect, cause effect. Like for instance, you can like the example that I gave just now. Jack hurt his leg. Okay, he was taken to the hospital. That's all. So maybe play a game. The person who can come up with the most number of cause effect, cause effect, cause effect incidents in between that's like kind of related, logical, then that person will win. So you can play the game with him. So instead of just getting him to write, a piece of okay, you have this topic and then just write. Okay, play a game with him. That actually helps. Like for me, regardless of age, a lot of people really like children, especially they like to play games. Yep.
So it sounds like to gamify the learning process.
Yeah, that's what I usually do as well.
Yeah, this reminded me when I first taught my eldest math. I actually introduced her P1 math when she was only 5 years old. So I told her a white lie. When I first bought her very first assessment book, I told her, this is your coloring book. So she can actually draw whatever she wants on the book, but in fact, it's a math assessment book for her. Yeah. So, okay, Mami Jolene shared that her child is P4.
Mm.
So when it comes to P4 child, probably if you can, is it okay to use specific examples like how this mommy can actually help the P4 right now? Like for example, if she is to start something today or tomorrow, what exactly can she do?
Okay. Uh, okay, in this case, right, what you can also do besides like playing games with your child is to actually brainstorm ideas with your child. Not necessary to start writing per se, yeah, but you can do like a brainstorming session without really an agenda, but it can be a topic that you have in your mind, then or something like that, and then you share. Hey, I saw this and I feel that it's very interesting. This happened, or it can be an everyday scene that you have seen today. Somebody cut queue, and then you share with him, and then see how he responds to that. And you can be very vivid in your in your description in saying like, oh, this maybe it's a lady who was in front of me. She was like 2 meters in front, and despite despite the fact that the gap between this man and me is not very wide. Yeah, she tried to squeeze in, and I could feel like even the drop of sweat yeah, on my hand. Yeah, so you can check out like how he reacts to that, he or she reacts to that, and use everyday examples to actually pick their interest, because a lot of times kids are not say averse to writing. They actually like to share their experience. It's just that they feel that they are being given a task to do, just like go wash the dishes, that kind of task. So they do not like to do that task. Yeah. But if you make this task into something that is like more dynamic, that you can discuss, you can do. Let's say if you wash the dishes with this child, sing along or like create something, the child will find it more enjoyable rather than it being a very dry process. Yeah. So that's what I think.
And I remember my wife did a game with my kids, and it may not be directly related to what Jolene is asking, but I see it
Mm.
as a sentence. Okay, an essay or composition is made up of multiple sentences. A sentence is made up of multiple words. Yeah, so instead of being worried if my child can write a full composition, why not start off with playing word games? Yeah, so what my wife did was she told my girls, now everyone take turns to say a word starting with S or P or I. Yeah, so the person who stop saying actually loses. Yeah, so it became a game, and I'm surprised that in fact my children love it. Yeah, so we actually play this when the children get bored in the car or in the taxi or whenever they feel we need something to engage them. Yeah. So
Yep.
probably that will help as well.
Yes. Or you can even string a story together. Like you give one sentence, and then you come up with another one, and then you come up with another one, and it comes up with another one, and later you get a crazy story, like a story that's not really what you write in the composition, but it makes the process more fun. Yeah. So instead of asking the child to start writing straight away, it's more of like building the interest in the child, and it will come from within rather than external.
We have a dad asking uh, the same thing as well, and his child is in he has a son in P2 this year.
Hmm.
what kind of suggestions will you give to a P2 child? Yeah, and probably they are still very young then.
Yeah. What I do with like younger children, actually it works for older children as well. That's why I talk about games, right? So there are these things called story dice around, yes, which you can actually throw the die. Okay, if let's say you don't have to buy anything, you can just have a cube or something, and then you just paste some stickers on the cube itself, and as you roll the die, if you get like say a picture of a smiley face, and then you have to come up with the storyline. Okay, so there's this very happy person because he's very satisfied with the food that he has just eaten. Yeah, because so you come up with like his ideas, and then you roll another one, and you continue with the story. Yeah, so this is actually a more engaging way for P2, because for P2 they are still learning sentence construction. Of course, the sentence construction part you can also get the idea from what John has shared and what I've shared just now about constructing sentences. Yeah, but to make it more fun, it's really how you actually put it in context for him.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, for parents who have asked their questions, I hope that it gives you some ideas on how to start off. And probably we are not, and probably the suggestions are not very much related to, oh, you can do an essay now or do some questions now. But I think what we are trying to say here is think out of the box. Yeah.
Yes.
Think in terms of different activities that your children love, not you love. Yeah. Your children love, and then start from there. And if essay or composition writing is tough, and probably you feel like you want to pull out your hair or something, start off with bite-sized tasks, like even like coming up with single and simple words first. I think it's more of like getting the habits of coming up with words than sentences, and then you can write a full-fledged essay. Yeah. Okay. Just now, we have a parent by the name of Jessie. I think she has left already, or probably she's still here. Yeah, and she's asking, okay, with so little time left until PSLE. Yeah, and parents post in the chat box, in the comment box, if you have a P6 kid. Yeah, okay. So what are some of the quick tips and techniques that you can share when it comes to really fine-tuning and tweaking to score marks for essay?
For essay writing, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So by using the tweaks that I told you just now, right, I shared with you, it's actually to make use of what he already knows. Like for instance, in varying sentences, actually they are already doing it in the section of synthesis and transformation in paper 2. So we're just not doing like component by component, but now we are showing them that, hey, you can apply what you have learned in synthesis and transformation into your writing. Yeah, and like for instance, reported speech, direct speech, that kind of thing. So so they actually get to apply what they learn in their writing straight away. Yeah, so it's something that they already have, but you just have to bring it to their awareness. So this is a very fast way to improve. Yeah, and as for letting the plot unfold, just now I mentioned that as well. It's actually to get them to keep asking them why questions also. Like for instance, why do you do that? Why is that so? Yeah, Then after that, you will prompt them to think a little bit more. Okay, maybe I've jumped from point A to point B too fast. I need to break it down into a few more steps before I reach point B. So that would actually help them expand, develop their content even further. Yeah, and because they have expanded content, definitely they have to use language. So they have a chance to showcase their language, and it brings up their language marks as well. So for writing this one, I would advise is like very fast to do.
Great. Okay. While you're sharing, I suddenly thought of this idea. Okay, again, it may not be useful for all of you, but I know that my girls love to draw. Yeah, so let's say she learns she learns this new word, hysterical. Yeah, so instead of focusing on trying to memorize the meaning of hysterical, probably what I will do as a dad is I will ask her to, okay, I'll tell her the meaning of hysterical, and then I'll get her to draw a hysterical face next to the word. Yeah, so while drawing, probably it will make her feel more interested to learn and remember the word hysterical. Probably
Yes.
it's an activity that that Jolene and Melby can try out if your children love to draw. Yeah.
Or yeah, if they're more dramatic, you can let them act it out.
Yeah. Okay. Some parents told me that I think just now I shared with you that um, some parents said that essay writing has similar structure to oral as well. Would you be able to share with us some of the techniques to do an oral that will impress the tester and get a lot of marks? Yeah.
Okay, so like just now actually what you asked me a certain question before as well, and like one of them would be like how to how to actually stand out when the examiners face like so many people, right? Like so many students as well. So this is it's actually by sharing your personal story. And by sharing a story, I don't mean like, for instance, there was once I was at a hawker center and someone cut queue, then full stop. So that's not actually showing the examiner very vividly actually what happens. This is, I think, what they're talking about, as in the structure of oral is similar to writing, because you're narrating a story. Yeah. So when you narrate a story, right, like for instance, you can focus on the person's emotions, like when and what you see, what you hear as well. Yeah, the senses. So as you describe all these, right, your examiner will be able to feel it. Like for instance, I give you another example. Like once I went to a place that was very smelly. Then it wouldn't evoke any sensation in the examiner. But if you say that, you know, there was once I was when I was returning home, and was waiting at the lift. I smelled this I had I there was this pungent smell, and as I turned my head, I saw this um, bunch of tissue paper soaked with certain like yellowish liquid. And yeah, I immediately felt revolted. And you know, so you use very strong words to actually get the examiner's attention. Yeah, so that's essentially is the storytelling part of your sharing of the experience. And of course, don't just share stories for the sake of sharing stories. You have to address the question that the examiner is asking. So it's not just about sharing stories, but you have to address the question. Yeah.
Okay, so sounds like probably being like sharing exactly how you felt then, as
Yes.
if you were at the scene.
Yes, as if you were at the, actually, if you're sharing your personal experience, as in real personal experience, you will be at the scene.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Mommy Nicole, hi Nicole. Ask a question. Should we memorize emotive phrases? Will that help them score? Probably. Okay. I also don't know what it really means by emotive phrases, but we can share a bit more so our parents are on the same page. And then um, she's asking will that helps them score.
Uh, okay, so do we wait for her responses?
Okay. She asked a question. Should we memorize emotive
Okay.
phrases? And then second question is will that help them score? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Definitely when we just start off, right? It does help if you do have a range of vocabulary. That means if your vocabulary is very limited, it's really very difficult to engage people with like very specific words and express specifically what you mean. So in that sense, memorizing short phrases, right? Like for instance, his mouth was agape, that kind, that short phrases would actually help the the um, the child use it in his composition writing and make his writing more vivid. Yeah, so it does help to a certain extent, but not to memorize like a chunk of paragraph that others have written and regurgitate the whole chunk. Yeah, that won't be what I would recommend.
And I also heard of stories from parents, because we are in the parents network, so we do hear
Yes.
a lot of things. Yeah, so parents, and I'm not sure is it true. Yeah, so a parent told me that do not memorize the words of phrases, because nowadays some tutors got them to memorize, and so the tester is able to smell where you are from, or where you're having English tuition, or where you learn it from, just based on what you have shared. Because probably 9 out of 10 kids share the same thing, or use the same phrases or sentences.
Okay, actually it's how actually okay, it's not so much that they cannot remember all these
Sure.
phrases, but it's really how you apply it flexibly. Like why I don't advocate memorizing whole chunk is, number one is plagiarism, and number two it's just gonna limit you to using it in certain situations. So if just by remembering very short phrases that you can easily tweak, right, to suit the situation, if you use it skillfully, it's still okay. But not to, it's not to deck your whole sentence with very difficult words, because nobody writes like that, and it's you want the reader to be engaged, but you don't want the reader to stop and say, what does he mean? And then you use bombastic words after bombastic words. So that's not the point as well. So have your readers' interest in mind as well as you write. Yeah. So then you come across as more authentic in your writing.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I also want to ask a question, because it's something that's very close to my heart. Okay, because what happened, I had this very bad experience when I was in P5. And in fact, I do have some level of stage anxiety in the past when I was younger. So when I went up to the tester, who is my form teacher and my English teacher, and I froze, and my mouth was totally shut, and I can't even say a single word. Yeah. So so after so many years, I still remember the bad experience. And then he got so impatient, and then he told me upfront, "Why are you so hopeless?" Yeah. So it's like, okay, it's like a scar in my heart right now. Yeah. So how can we as adults help children who experience certain level of anxiety when going for oral?
Okay. I mean, there are a few things that I tell my students to do lah. That means number one, don't over analyze a person's expression. Like sometimes that person might do expressions like this, right? But it's not because of what you say. It can be because it's very hot. and then you misconstrue it as something that is targeted at you, and that will affect the performance. But really, because the teacher also has to go through a lot of like the different oral sessions with different students, so it's inevitable that they get tired as well. But I'm sure they are very professional, and then the examiners are actually there to help you. That's why they have those prompts that they give your kids. It's not to not to target them, or to harm them, or what, but it's really to help them think about something related in that area. So you can take it like as a hint, It's just like I'm dropping a hint to you, can catch the hint, and then after that you continue. Doesn't matter whether maybe in front maybe you have said something that goes out of point. Your examiner will try to steer you back a little bit as well, and take the cue from them and just continue. Yeah, so that's what I would suggest. And I think I'm not sure about your experience whether that oral practice was a national exam or not, but I think in national examiners are also very careful about how they portray themselves, and that I believe they wouldn't speak down to a child. Yeah. So you can reassure your child that the examiner is there to help, and even if he or she doesn't have this approving looks can be deceiving. A person can look very strict, but he has a kind heart. Yeah, so really it's don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah. That's what I'll share some stories about how maybe say people I've come across and I've mistaken certain actions, but it's actually not that, Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, in the past, I also have learned this from some of my students. And it's the what, 5 Ws and 1 H.
Mm-hmm.
Why,
Who,
who,
what, when,
what.
where, why, how.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So is that helpful, or do you have proven formula or acronyms to help the child to at least organize his thoughts and words?
Okay, so first of all, I think a very common this is not from me. It's taught very widely in schools, etc. It's the PEEL technique. PEEL. So P stands for the point, and then you give you elaborate, you explain the point. E, the next E, and you give examples. Examples can be your story, and then you link back to what you're talking about. So that's a very simple framework that they can actually use. And of course, you talk about the 5W1H. This is actually very useful, especially when they are stuck in telling a story. They can continue by thinking, like, for instance, just now I was saying, this woman who cut queue, something like that, right? So, do I just stop there by telling you someone cut my queue before, or how do I actually come up with the storyline? Can think about like who, like how does the woman look like? Can describe her with curly hair, and maybe quite scrawny or something like that. And she was able to squeeze in between the spaces. Yeah. So you can think about the who, what, when, where, why to help you construct your story as well. Yeah. So that is sometimes simple formulas, right? It's about how you use it, and it's not that it's not useful or obsolete. Yeah.
Okay, so to rephrase what you said, is the PU technique. So P is point.
Yes.
Then E is sorry, what's the E again?
Is to
explain why you say the point.
Yep.
And then
give examples. By telling stories. You can by telling things, even if it's not your own story, it can be things that you have heard before as well. And then you link back to the point that you're trying to make. Yeah, that will actually keep you in check as well. You don't go off point when telling a story. Then a story goes on and on and on, and then it doesn't answer the question anymore, and everybody gets confused. Yeah, including the person who says it.
Great sharing. Okay, so we have come to the end of the sharing. Okay, let's take on one last question from Mami Gyokwa. Okay, she is asking about the writing part, and she's asking, what is the most important part in writing? Then she brackets like example, introduction. Probably what she's trying to say is out of all the different segments of an essay, there's front, there's center, there's back. Which part is the most important?
I think it's the most important part is to answer the topic, because you can have
Mm.
a very beautiful introduction about like a very nice scenery, or you can have a beautiful introduction about certain character, but it doesn't answer the topic, then it defeats the purpose. So it's not about which part is more important per se, but it is more like does your story as a whole answer the topic itself? Because if you don't, right, then of course the content, you suffer quite a bit in the content part. Yep. And if you ask about which is important in leaving the examiner a good impression, the storyline is one, and also the how you use your language. Sometimes it's not just about using very difficult words, but if you can polish your sentences such that it actually you don't make mistakes like tenses, mistakes in tenses, you can clean up your writing quite a bit. It's like the first draft that I've showed you just now in my 3 tweaks.
Mm.
There's actually nothing wrong with the first draft in terms of like the grammar or like the sentence structure per se, but it's actually quite clean already, but it's just not very interesting. So my point is, how can you make it more interesting for the reader? That's why you apply the 3 tweaks to make the whole story more engaging. Yeah. Yeah, and
Great.
I think no paragraph is detached from the next. If you have a paragraph that can be plucked off without actually affecting the story itself, then probably the paragraph shouldn't be there in the first place. So
Mm.
every single paragraph is important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like okay. Hearing from you, probably like what I will do is sometimes, let's say my child has to write an essay for me to check. Yeah.
Mm,
So probably what I will do as a dad is maybe I won't check first. I will get her to take a break for a day and then come back to it again on the following day and get her to read her own essay to see if it makes sense. Because while I chose to believe that she did good, but at the same time, I think it's a practice of improving what she has done. So it's like a test. So you improve on the essay.
yeah. So in
Yeah.
fact, you can also use what I've taught you just now, like one tweak by one tweak. So you can rest a day. You just tweak your story by varying your sentence structure. That's all. And then next time you come back to it, where else can you actually change? Like, so this word being used here. How can you be more specific in explaining that? Yeah. So that actually also helps. Like what John says, break it down. And let the child improve it bit by bit. Because in fact, for professional writers, nobody does the first draft perfectly. And this is an exam as well. They only have 50 minutes to really write this continuous writing. The rest of the time should be spent on situational writing, thereabouts. And so there's really not much time. Actually, I feel it's very impressive to actually come up with a good story within 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It is very challenging really. So I feel that a lot of times, instead of picking what our children are not really doing well, it's also to encourage them, hey, at least what you've done is to write a full story already. So here we go. You just look at one aspect of your story that we can actually tweak today. That's all. So be a bit encouraging, and not like, oh, you have to change this, have to change this, have to change this, have to change this, and then the whole page is actually filled with red markings. Yeah, then the child will not be likely to like composition writing in that way. A lot of them would feel discouraged. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so parents, thanks for being here. I hope that you have learned something. Can you type in yes if you have learned something new that you can use it at home to help your child? Type in yes if you have learned something or at least one thing. So at least I know that this kind of session is beneficial for you and I can plan some more. Okay, give me some time because there's a time delay for the parents. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So okay, great. Okay, so probably to end off, maybe we can just share one more thing. Actually, I still don't know what else to ask you, but I think let's say it's something that I just thought of. Yeah. So let's say tomorrow is PSLE. Yeah, and I know that being a parent myself, probably I would want my child to have more practice. What would be some of the things that parents should do, and some of the things that parents shouldn't do because probably it causes more stress on the kids. Yeah, then we'll use this to end off.
Okay, actually, like that's just my take, my
Sure,
personal
sure,
preference is that
sure.
the day before exam, yes, you do try to revise a little bit, but don't try to, cover everything and get all worked out. Oh, I still don't know this, I still don't know that. Focus more on, hey, I already know this, hey, I already know that, and then and just if it's like let's say a paper 2 examination, then just focus on a few grammar rules and okay, I do know this, and then that's all, because you can't really practice anymore like vocabulary per se, because even if you practice today, you it's likely that you cannot remember the next day as well. Yeah, so there are things that you shouldn't do too much as before the exam, that I feel that's my personal take. Yeah, because it brings a lot of stress, and sleep earlier, yeah,
Mhm.
that actually helps.
Okay. And just now we shared about having your own personal English notebook. So
Yes.
parents, if you have your own notebook or your child has the habit of creating his own notebook, probably you'll be good just to revise from the notebook and that's it, and then sleep by 9 o'clock.
Yes, definitely sleep early, don't sleep late.
Okay, so parents, thanks so much for being here. I think this interview is over an hour. Yeah, it's way longer than what we have planned. Yeah.
Yep.
So Rosalind, thanks so much for being here. And parents, I hope that you have learned a lot because I have also learned quite a lot from Rosalind. Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
my own girls as well. Yeah. Okay, so Rosalind, if they want to find you, how can they find you? Or what words should they search in Facebook to go to your page?
Oh, okay, you can type fun language learning, and then you can actually like my Facebook page, and you be kept updated of like what's happening. Yep. Or you can go to fllacademy.com as well. Yeah.
FLL.
Yes, fllacademy.com.
Right, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So parents, thanks so much for being here. And in the meantime, remember to take some notes. And then also, we have come to the end of the sharing and good night to you. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. See you. Bye bye.
Okay, don't go off first. Wait.
Yep.
Okay, stop recording.